What's going on, guys? We're here in FreedomRPG playing a new Dungeons & Dragons campaign, homebrew campaign. It's available to play in the world share of FreedomRPG's Discord. If you haven't registered, check out the registration link in the pinned comment and in the description of the video. You can get bonus credits for registering there. So I've got this new campaign that I've created for a specific character, so that it can be catered to a specific character. Dungeons & Dragons is typically for at least a 4-player party. At least 3.5 was. That's the way all the math is designed. And so this character's kind of beefed up to be a solo campaigner. And before we get into the play, I want to talk a little bit about the campaign world, just a little bit. Not too many spoilers or anything, but all this is going to be lore that you'll see when you actually click on it in the shared world. So this little town that you see here, a little trading outpost, is kind of the manifestation of the last year of the alliance between these elves in Eldengloom and the southern humans who have kind of advanced out here. And they formed an alliance a year ago because there was a horde of orcs, and there was a big war with them. They forced them underground, and that's kind of how that's been going. The surface seems to be prospering from that. But our character that we're playing here, he was a scout during all of that. Now he's like a special operations elven ranger slash rogue character. And he's kind of been sent on this mission at the beginning to hunt down one of the orc warcallers that escaped into these uncharted tunnels that go into the Underdark, and to try to find something that he stole in some kind of wood elven relic. We'll see that in here in a second. We're starting here actually way underground. The tunnel breathes hot iron. Somewhere ahead, a pickaxe scrapes stone in an uneven, desperate rhythm. Alandoraz presses his back against the jagged wall, weight balanced on the balls of his feet, breathing through his nose. The air is thick with sweat, rust, and fear stink. Orc fear stink. Orc is his favorite enemy as a ranger. If you remember in D&D 3.5, you get a favorite enemy as a ranger. This guy is multi-class, ranger level 3, rogue level 2 for the huge skill point bonus that you get. I always find that everyone should use at least a few levels of rogue, if for no other reason than to get the access to the huge skill pool. The kind that rises off a creature that knows it has nowhere left to run. 3 of them. Fresh brands seared into gray-green skin, still weeping at the edges. Mining brands. The lead orc, nearly filling the tunnel's width, wields a fractured stone hammer the size of a child's torso. The second levels a long iron pry bar like a spear. The third, the smallest, a hollow-eyed creature with a badly splinted wrist, clutches a rock spur torn from the cave wall. They have cornered themselves in a dead-end collapse. They know it. Alandoraz can see it in their eyes, that glassy, animal stillness before everything becomes terrible. Grokadome, the smallest one rasps to the others. The large one with the hammer answers in a low grind of Orcish. Sharaktu Zulgar. The hammer orc lunges. The narrow tunnel becomes a killing ground. Alandoraz does not parry. He's not here to contest strength. He moves past the arc and puts the blade where momentum carries the orc into it. The pry bar thrusts. He turns his hips. Iron rakes across studded leather, finds no gap. His elbow drives into the second orc's jaw. The hammer orc collapses, weapon clanging on stone. The pry bar orc backs 2 steps. The small one with the rock spur does not move. It stares at the floor. Then the pry bar orc drops its iron. The small one opens its hand. Sorry, I distracted myself thinking about something else and looking at something else on here on my OBS. I was looking at the noise level, sound level. Where was my place here? The small one with the rock spur does not move. It stares at the floor. Then the pry bar orc drops its iron. The small one opens its hand. Both survivors sink to their knees, not in surrender exactly, in exhaustion, in the posture of creatures broken down so thoroughly that even the reflex to die fighting has been ground away. Alandoraz sheathes the sword and looks the way a tracker looks. The manacle chafed scars, whatever that means. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. The hollow cheeks, the filthy rags. Okay, it's just describing them. It uses incomplete sentences sometimes. I've noticed that, like in a theatrical, almost like a description of a movie would be, like, one man, one mountain, one avalanche, one village, you know. They've been underground a long time. He binds them to a jutting iron bracket in the tunnel wall and turns back the way they came. Okay, so it's building up the scene here into the beginning of the campaign. It won't always be so long-winded, but when you click on the Shared Worlds link in FreedomRPG Discord, you'll see a little bit of lore and a little bit of build-up for the character. And so, if you don't want to see any actual campaign spoilers before we get into it, check that out. But the tracking skill does not lie. Alandoraz moves like a shadow, working backward through time, reading blood smears, disturbed grit, the cadence of panicked footfalls. The passage winds, narrows, opens into a natural split-level shelf of rock. The air changes before he sees anything. Heat first. Dry mineral heat off worked stone. Then sound filtering up through a wide fissure. The rhythmic clang and grind of large-scale industry. A low undertone of exhausted voices, and beneath it all, a subsonic hum that seems to come from the stone itself. I guess that's the picture that we see up here. It's this glowing mineral. He finds the ledge by instinct, a flat shelf jutting over a sheer drop, screened by a natural column of stalactite growth. A perfect vantage point. He goes to his belly and peers over the edge. The Deep Seam Quarry. That's where we're beginning the campaign here, far under the ground, kind of in an uncharted cave system under Eldengloom here. Nothing in his training prepared him for this. I don't know if I'd go that far. His skills are pretty varied. The cavern below is colossal, a natural vault half a mile across at its widest. The ceiling lost somewhere above a haze of torch smoke and mineral dust. This guy he has a really low constitution and kind of low hit points though. I wanted to make it a little more difficult on that regard. He's a little bit of a glass cannon in that regard. But, you know, the really advanced access to a plethora of skills is going to be the biggest, you know, driving force of this campaign. There will be combat too. Stealth missions and stuff like that is what this character is built for. The walls are carved into descending tiers. Each tier a row of excavation faces where figures toil under hundreds of oil lanterns hung in iron cages. This is not a raiding camp. This is industry. The slaves, dozens visible, likely many more on lower tiers. Orcs swinging heavy tools in the rhythm of the long broken. Goblins in quick scurrying groups loading ore into iron bins. Kobolds and chain gangs working primitive pulleys. Bugbears used as hauling beasts. 2 ogres on the lowest tier dragging stone carts no smaller creature could budge. All branded, all chained. Where fresh rock is exposed, amber veins pulse with faint inner light through the black stone. The hum Alandoraz felt through the stone comes from those veins. If you guys don't know what Duergar are, they're like the Underdark's version of dwarves. You know, they're dwarves that have like gray skin and like drow. They're mostly evil. In Forgotten Realms, Duergar often keep, you know, the weaker but sentient monstrous races like orcs and goblins and stuff like that as slaves and workers and stuff like that. That's what we got going on down here in this place that our ranger has discovered. And so we've got 20 visible Duergar here, gray-skinned and compact as compressed stone. They look like walking rocks, even more so than regular dwarves because of their skin tone. Stationed on raised platforms with iron-shod pole arms and crossbows at hip. They do not shout. They watch. When a slave's pace drops, a Duergar descends and applies correction with professional, methodical efficiency. No rage, no theater, just enforcement. So we got a industrious operation going on here. The innermost portion of the cavern, partially cut off by a heavy iron gate manned by 4 armored overseers. is a different order of security. Fortified stone walls, a command post, an overseer's tier. Whatever is most valuable to the Duergar is in there. And so we're here looking for that orc warcaller who escaped from the war with a wood elven relic that we're supposed to be returning with. And we do actually spot the target here amongst the slaves. Every slave in that quarry has adopted the shuffle of long crushed, small steps, eyes down, shoulders rounded to occupy the minimum possible space in the world. This figure moves with the same exhaustion, the same chains, but underneath it, buried very deep, there's still something in the carriage. Some ghosts of a different posture, a warcaller's posture. The orc is massive, broken tusk, heavy jaw, dull yellow eyes that carry, even from this height, a coal of awareness the others have lost. He is hauling a stone cart loaded with ore along the track toward the inner gate. A Duergar overseer paces behind him. Fresh brand scars on the shoulders, manacles, wrist chafed raw. Alandoraz studies that face. He was given a description before he descended into these tunnels. The description matches. I guess that's the orc. Gorgash. He watches the orc warcaller haul his cart toward the inner gate. The guard raises a hand in bored acknowledgement. The gate grinds open on heavy iron hinges. Gorgash disappears inside. The gate grinds shut. Alandoraz does not move for a full minute. He's counting guards, measuring distances, running possibilities. He's found his target. The question is what he does with that knowledge, okay? And then it shows a little brief on the character. We're using mostly like 3.5 edition rules because it's just the best setup. It's a lot of math, which is why they condensed it in the later conditions, but with an AI running it, the math is kind of a secondary thought here. You can just see what happens. And the more you know about the math, the more you can customize your character, of course. So that's cool. But if you're the kind of person who just likes the choose your own story aspect of role-playing, you don't really have to care about the math as much as I do. I just love it. It's my thing. It's one of the things that I enjoy about it because you can make it so realistic by adding so many different variables and different formulas to try to, you know, come to realism, because that's all that real life is a bunch of math happening. You know, you do one thing, this happens, and then you respond to that. The sequence is logically following, you know, and that's kind of the appeal of video games, but you don't get the extreme versatility that you get with either tabletop role-playing games or this new genre of AI-powered tabletop role-playing game. One second, I need to get a drink. Okay. So, Alandoraz lies flat on the precipice, 40 feet above the quarry floor, invisible in the shadows behind the stalactite column. The iron gate to the inner sanctum is shut, 4 guards on the gate, 20 overseers visible. Somewhere inside, Gorgash, our target. We don't know if he even has the relic still. When he was captured, they probably took it. So, with any luck, it's within that compound somewhere. That's our true mission anyway. That will probably be difficult to find. We might have to abandon that, considering discovering a big fortress of Durgar underneath the city here. The 2 bound orc survivors wait in the tunnel behind. They know these passages. They know this place. What does Alandoraz do? You know, I never did specify that we speak orc or anything like that. Our favorite enemy is orc. Now, in this little out of character box here, I put some just reminders about XP tables and stuff like that. Just as a, this is the kind of stuff that you should be thinking about if you want to like do out of character ideas to the AI before you start, to just like lock in some parameters, even for like your character sheet or for like some NPC dialogue parameters like anti-metagaming or anything like that. What I've put here is just a little out of character box before we get started with the actual gameplay. Just a reminder regarding homebrew XP tables for successful skill checks. We want to add that so that we don't have to sit here and fight for every level, and clever roleplay. I do that as a DM anyway. If someone gives clever roleplay ideas, I give extra experience. Just a thing I've always done. So I added that to this. It's all in the campaign like overview, like the initial prompts that I put into the campaign. But I found that sometimes it's best practice to just kind of give it a little nudge to wake it up to some ideas through the world share. That's just my just a perfect manifestation of that. Is some of the things don't immediately carry over to the character sheet. Like, just I'm missing the skills, missing the ability stats, nothing else. But I'm a stickler for, I told you earlier, I love the math, and so I want to see the whole, every number out in front of me here. And so I'm going to tell it to review the faction tracker too, because I wanted to add my realistically known factions, even though we're just starting. So it's just taking that. It hasn't. This is still the message that was like pre-programmed into it for my campaign start, plus all the messages that I embedded into the campaign itself to actually get that started with the mechanics and the campaign lore and NPCs and factions and all that stuff that I built in. But still, all this, the AI, when we put our first message, it's going to be reviewing all of this almost as if for the first time, but not really. But for the first time, and also your message is going to remind it to remember all the stuff from the original thing. And you know, that stuff that's going to be, it's still in early stages. And there's been updates that make some of what I'm doing a little bit useless. But again, I'm just always trying to be a step ahead. And so I'm putting this little out of character message in here before we get started, just to be sure. So I'm telling to review the faction tracker down here, dynamically including those realistically known from the base world lore, you're right, by the character's history. Also adding the new Durgar Overseers faction to this list of known factions. Review the empty campaign journal, right, because the campaign journal is actually empty, even though it's there. So it's cool that it pulled that. It just didn't fill it, because it probably would do that after our first message, after catching up on the story. That's just my guess. Referencing the opening scene and the embedded campaign lore to fill in this space. Yeah. Add a section to my character sheet that displays my skills. I want to just add that idea. Remember to hold to a strict anti-metagaming policy from the perspective of the NPCs. Have them behave with brutal realism in every scenario, using dice to resolve internal conflicts with no clear solution. Okay, so beyond that, though, I think that those orcs aren't going to be able to tell me much. I know that they're new here because I chased them here a year ago in the Orc War. Despite the unexpected discovery, Alandoraz reverts to his training. Scouting the perimeter. Full tactical overview. As much as he can discern without actually moving inside. Taking precautions to remain quiet and unseen. So see how it responds to my big out of character message here. You'll see my character sheet will soon dynamically change based on what I just said. Yeah, so editing entity. It's editing the info tab right now and adding a new picture here for the start of our campaign. Which I think that this part will probably be the part that's brand new and different for everyone. Because it's going to be kind of similar, and I've compacted the lore in like I got like I think 8 prompts behind this, 6 to 8 prompts behind this. There's quite a bit in them, and it's going to be reviewing that kind of as it goes. Studies. What he's good at, he's really good at. But again, he's a glass cannon. We got 23 hit points as a level 5 character. So that's pretty small, you know. Some level 5 characters have 70 hit points. That's pretty extreme. But it added my ability scores, and it did it really neatly. I really liked the way it added them. It added my skills. Rangers get a lot of skills too, but rogues get even more. That's why I got 2 levels of rogue. Yeah, it did a really good job adding those. What did it do with the factions? Okay, it added my quest, the missing relic, faction tracker, the Eldengloom Wood Elves, good. The Southern Settlement humans, okay. Allied, home nation, orc horde remnants, yeah. Historical enemy, hostile. Duergar overseers, deep sea quarry, hostile. Okay, cool. It did really good packing that information in. The character sheet looks really neat. Feats, inventory, abilities, skills, primary stuff here. Base attack bonus, reflex, fortitude, will save. All looking good. XP bar, hit points bar. Okay, so over here shows a little bit of math. I guess this is our not sure what skill this is using here. Must be maybe search. Studies, guard, rotation, shift pattern, structural. Okay, this is Alandoraz's thoughts. While the thoughts that are the result of this dice roll, I guess. 20-some overseers. 4 on that gate. I count patrol cadence. The 2 roaming the upper tiers pass the same points on a slow loop. Call it 200 heartbeats between passes near the eastern scaffold. Okay. The gate guards don't rotate at all. They're fixed, bored, comfortable. Yeah, they're not going to notice me. That's a weakness. Men who never expect relief get complacent. The lanterns are hung high and evenly spaced. There's no true dark patch to move through on the open tiers, but the scaffold shadows near the eastern wall run almost to the gate itself. That's good. If I came down that side, hugging the timber supports, I could close most of the distance without crossing open lantern light. Still 40 feet of exposed ground before the gate, and no cover once I'm there. 4 guards is more than I can quietly remove without noise carrying. This place is too enclosed. Sound would travel up every tier. I need either a distraction, a different entrance, or inside help. The 2 I bound back in the tunnel. They've been slaves here. They know things I can't see from up here. Drainage cut, a supply schedule, which overseer is careless. That's worth more right now than another hour of counting lanterns. Yeah, I guess maybe I should go interrogate those orcs about another way in, maybe. The gate is too fortified and guarded here. And so that's only just his thoughts regarding the roll that he had. So if I had rolled bad, he would have been really stupid. I guess. Time passes slowly on the ledge. Alandoraz lies motionless, breathing shallow, cataloging the cant the way he was trained to. Not what draws the eye, but what repeats. Okay. The overseers on the upper tiers walk a loop, 2 of them, trading the eastern and western scaffolds on a slow, unhurried cadence, long enough that a patient shadow could time a crossing between passes. The 4 at the inner gate never move at all. No rotation, no relief shift in the time he's watched. Men who are never replaced stop expecting trouble. Their polearms rest against the gate more than they're held. I guess it takes his thoughts. I don't think we were really supposed to read through those. I think it just showed those just because. But anyway, I think it takes those thoughts and then presents it narratively. The lantern cages are hung high and evenly spaced across the open tiers. There's no true dark to walk through on the quarry floor itself, but along the western wall, timber scaffolding throws deep shadows almost to the gate's threshold. A careful approach could close most of the distance under that cover. The last 40 feet, though, are lantern lit and open, no cover. 4 fixed guards watching that exact ground. What I need is a big distraction, I think, during like some kind of delivery, some kind of, when they're bringing something in, I need to like cause some kind of big distraction outside and then head inside while they're doing something, but then there might be a little bit more alerted. So if I'm going to do that, I need to make it so that they find out what the distraction is, and then they're not actually that alarmed by it, and they're like, oh, okay, that was dumb, and then they go back to being bored. But then I'm inside. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. He marks 2 other details worth remembering. A narrow drainage channel. Okay, maybe I don't need to go talk to the orcs. A narrow drainage channel cut into the rock near the lowest tier, half choked with runoff, running toward the inner wall. Where it goes, you can't tell from here. And a supply track. Iron rails, worn shiny. A supply track, huh? Along which the ore carts run in and out of the inner gate at irregular intervals. 20-some visible overseers, 4 fixed at the gate. No clean way in from this vantage. Not without either a distraction, a different entrance. Someone who already knows this place from the inside. Do we return and interrogate the bound orcs? I think that I don't trust those orcs. I think that this guy would not even think to go talk to those orcs. That he wouldn't trust a word that came out of their mouth. They would lie to him. And I think that they're lucky he left them alive back there, honestly. So I think we're going to instead investigate the train drainage channel. It seems like our best route with this guy. You know what? I need to wait and see if the orc warcaller comes back out to work again. If I can get him alone, maybe I can find out what happened to the relic. Right now I've got it on Swift mode. Thank you. Right now I've got it on Swift mode, but I might turn it back on Mythic for our stream here, so it's even more epic. Ooh, 25 on something. Whatever skills he's got here, he's really good at, man. I meticulously designed this character, like, with books out, character sheet and all. And I gave him like extra stat boost here, even though he's got a pretty low constitution, because he's a one-man party. You know, D&D is supposed to be with 4 people, so since he's by himself in 3.5, I boosted his stats and gave him I mean, this is actually normal though, the skill number of skills he has. It's because of the way I built his rogue ranger mix plus the intellect, because rogues get 8 plus 3 skills, so that's 11, and then rangers get 6 plus 3, so it's 9. And so incredible amount of skills for this character. Anyway, using skills is really fun in this genre of TTRPG, actually, because the AI does a really good job of varying the result based on how much higher or lower than the target you were, right? If you're pretty close to the target but you may fall forward more than if you were 10 points below it, right? So it's something I think about whenever I'm DMing. So it's good to see that in practice here. Probably some more thoughts here from Alandoraz, but we're not going to read through those. We're just going to see what happens. Alandoraz settles in. Patience is not a virtue for him, it's a tool, and he uses it the way he uses a blade. Whatever that means, I have no idea what that means. Sometimes the metaphors are funny. The cart cycle repeats roughly every quarter hour. A loaded cart rattles out through the inner gate along the worn rails, hauled by whatever slave has been assigned it. Yeah, because we're not going to the... Yeah, I forgot. I said we're going to wait and see if he comes back out, because if he does, I can just find out what happened to the relic. Maybe the Duergar took it. Maybe he hid it somewhere. An overseer trailing 2 paces behind. He watches 4 cycles pass. Different haulers each time. An ogre, a chain gang of kobolds, a lone bugbear. The escorts vary too, but he starts to notice the same young Duergar overseer keeps drawing duty near the gate. And the same young Duergar overseer keeps making the same mistake. He doesn't trust the goblin loading crews to keep pace on their own. And every few minutes he peels off to shout them back into rhythm, leaving whoever he's escorting alone on the track for a stretch. Okay. Near the turn of the 5th hour, the gate grinds open again. Gorgash emerges hauling a heavier cart. Bad ore, more slag by the look of the load, but that same young overseer 2 steps behind. They haven't gone 20 paces before the goblin crew on the 2nd tier drops their pace. The overseer barks something sharp in Dwarvish and breaks off toward them, polearm in hand, already 3 strides away from his charge. Gorgash keeps hauling, alone on the rail, moving into the shadow thrown by the eastern scaffold, the same blind spot Alandoraz marked hours ago. So after a few hours, it makes sense. I know it kind of sped traveled to that, but it does at least make sense that we would eventually find Gorgash back out here working. So alone on the rail, moving into the shadow thrown by the eastern scaffold, the same blind spot Alandoraz marked hours ago. For perhaps 30 seconds, no lantern light touches him directly, and no overseer's eyes are on him at all. It won't last. The young one will finish his correction and come jogging back. Yeah, but okay. You know, let's think about this realistically here. If we just come up, we have to take care of that Duergar. That's the only way we're going to get enough time to really find out what happened to the relic. Because if we just run up here and grab Gorgash and take off with him, what's going to happen then? Then the guy's going to wonder where he went and go looking for him. You know, raise the alarm, go out looking for scouts, all that stuff, or looking for the slave that ran off. So I feel like we don't really have any choice but to take out the Duergar. Let's see what the AI came up with as responses for us to do and see if any of them are cool. Move now. Close the distance in the blind spot. A narrow window, maybe 30 seconds. You know, like, well, I have 30 seconds to explain to this orc that I'm looking for this relic, this vial, moon, what do you call it? Moon, I don't know. Moon something vial. Sorry, it was several hours ago. Moon, move now. Close the distance in the blind spot. I've what, 30 seconds to tell this guy and then get enough information to tell like where it's at and the best way to get in, and then he's just not going to say anything. He's just going to go back to normal. Like I wasn't there. Not a good plan. Okay. Signal him first from cover. Don't approach yet. Signal him? I mean, you know, if I'm an orc and my choice is a wood elf from the surface or a Duergar who I know is a slaver, you know, I'm going to take my chances with the wood elf, honestly, even with the war. Duergar are brutal, evil race. Of they could be monstrous if they really want. I guess, you know, technically the 3.5 monsters manual does consider Duergar a monster, I guess. But let this pass. Wait for a longer window. 30 seconds may not be enough for a real conversation. Risk losing the chance to learn more by waiting for a better one. You know, I think, honestly, also there's a part of Alandoraz who's thinking, as the scout that he is, that, you know, he was sitting here on a specific mission to find this relic, hunt down who they thought was this warcaller who's just fled off into the, you know, caves here, and just hiding up somewhere in a little cave, you know, like a little regular D&D mission where you go into a cave and there's 3 little tunnels here, and you go there, you know, and finally you find him in one of them. But that's not what's going on here. I think the discovery of this facility is more valuable than the relic itself. And so to attempt some kind of infiltration in this place to get the relic, that would be, of course, if I were to be successful in that would be an incredible mission. But there's also the possibility of changing direction entirely and making the discovery of this place now my new mission. But I guess that doesn't make the two, you know, I don't guess they're mutually exclusive. Again, could do both things. Abort and return to the bound orcs instead? No, I don't care about those orcs. I just don't think Alandoraz is even thinking about those orcs back there. He thinks they're stupid, that they're not going to have information, that they're going to lie even if they did. So I think that what I'm going to do is, you know, Alandoraz has no kind of empathy for Duergar. I'm not going to have time to discuss anything with the orc. If I pull him away, the Duergar will be alerted to his absence. Did I misspell that word? When he returns, and likely send a patrol looking for the missing slave. I don't know what happened to the relic. The discovery of this place so close to Eldengloom may be more valuable than returning with the relic. I just kind of want to put all my thoughts in to give it some more direction to go in. I know he doesn't need it, but the more you give, the better. It really is, because you can take all of your kind of thoughts and include it into it, just the way it did with its own actual most logical thoughts for Alandoraz, you know. Wait, or was that Gorgash's thoughts? Gorgash thought for 3 seconds. That's funny. Cool. The discovery of this place so close to Eldengloom may be more valuable than returning with the relic. If I'm quiet enough, I might be able to take out the young Duergar and buy myself a little bit longer conversation. But if I make too much noise, I could alert the rest of them. And again, I know I can outrun them thanks to my boots of swiftness. They're not huge, a huge magical item or anything, just +5 to speed, which is pretty big, but you know, again, I beefed this guy up so he could be a one-man party. Not too big. I got Masterwork studded leather armor, Cloak of Elven Kind. That's probably the most expensive piece, I think. The Cloak of Elven Kind. And that's why the hide in Musali is so big. Boots of Swiftness. Just a little slight magical item. Another little slight magical item. The Gloves of Nimble Fingers. It just adds +2 to disable device. No big deal. Masterwork Elven Longbow. Masterwork Elven Short Sword. Full quiver of Masterwork Elven Arrows. Concealed quiver of 2 venomed Masterwork Elven Arrows. We are far enough away from the surface that once I get away, I could have been anyone. Unless someone gets a good look at me. What do we do? Do we attack the Duergar Overseer? Take him out and buy ourselves a little bit more time? Because, I mean, this is our target right here. We could take him back. We could take him back to Eldengloom. And take out the Duergar, take him back alive to Eldengloom. I mean, even if he doesn't have the relic or know where it's at, he's an asset to the war effort. Having thought all of that, Alandoraz waits for the perfect moment. Just as he is breaking contact with the goblins, they'll be glad to turn their attention away from him. He'll be distracted. I'll come out with a sneak attack. Masterwork, Elven, short sword. Attempting to take him out quietly and by myself. More time to discuss things with Gorgash. Figure out what happened to the relic and decide whether I'm going to infiltrate this place or simply return with the warcaller as my prisoner. Alright, that's it. We're attacking the Duergar. Remember, he's got 2 levels of rogue, so my guy has sneak attack bonus. Alright, what happened here? A lot of dice rolls. Alandoraz descends and closes on the young overseer. So this was my stealth. 31, not bad. Alandoraz makes his approach without a sound. Okay, 31 for hide, 26 for move silently. Unlike 5th edition, which just puts everything in stealth. I mean, I guess it's cool, but there are 2 clearly distinct skills. You know, that's what I love about 3.5. Hiding and move silently. Those are 2 completely different things. So, you might not be skilled in both things. Right? One's light and one's sound waves. Right? One's light going to the eyes, one's sound going to the ears. 2 completely different skill sets. Anyway. Alandoraz drives. Okay, this is a critical hit right here. Drives his short sword into the unaware overseer from behind. Lethal sneak attack damage to overseer 8. Confirms a critical strike over the. Oh, another critical. Okay, you have to confirm critical strike in D&D, which even if you roll a critical, it's not a critical unless you roll a second strike that would have been a hit. So, I don't really do that all the time as a DM. I kind of pick and choose moments where I do that, I guess. Like, for example, in skills. I'm not going to make you roll twice for a skill critical. Deals additional critical damage with the short sword. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I mean, it's a lot of damage, but probably not enough to kill a Duergar. They're pretty tough. We'll see. Alandoraz comes down the eastern wall like water finding a crack. Ledge to scaffold, beam to shadow. Timed between patrol passes. The quarry's own den of hammers and chains swallowing whatever sound his boots make. By the time the young overseer finishes berating the goblin crew and turns back toward the rail, the elf is already inside the scaffold shadow, waiting on the path the Durgar has walked a dozen times tonight. The overseer passes within arm's reach, muttering in Dwarvish, eyes still on the goblins behind him. The blade goes in at the throat, precise and final. There is no cry. There isn't time for one. Alandoraz catches the body's weight as it folds, lowers it, and drags it behind a heap of ore slag in 4 silent seconds. The goblins never look back. They are only glad the shouting stopped. The nearest patrol is a tier up and 100 yards off, walking its slow loop. Oh, now I have a little bit more time with Gorgash, and if I run off with him, I've got some time, and if they ever find this guy, they'll think he did it. And they're not going to be that surprised when they can't find him. They're going to be mad. But, you know. Gorgash has already stopped pulling. The orc stands motionless between the cart traces, chain slack, watching the elf with those dull yellow eyes, and there's nothing dull in them now. His gaze goes from Alandoraz's face to the wood elf leathers, to the red-streaked sword, to the slag heap where his escort's boots have just disappeared. He does not shout. He does not run. His hands stay on the cart pole, knuckles slowly whitening. Yeah. Again, you're an orc. If you've been down here for a year as an orc, I don't care what war sent you down here. Seeing a wood elf, another surface dweller down after being down here for a year, has got to be like, you know, seeing sunshine. But at the same time, a brutal wood elf. So okay, so he's speaking Orcish here, and I guess I do understand Orcish because he says, "You're a long way from your trees, elf." He says, "It shows under it," in English. Common, I guess. His voice is low, gravel worn smooth by a year of rock dust. He glances once, fast, toward the inner gate, then back. "Whatever this is, be quick. They count us at the gate. Ask about the Moon-Sap Vial directly." No time for games, exactly, yeah. Where's the Moon-Sap Vial, bruh? Yeah, sense motive on him. Got the negotiator feat, because his charisma isn't like as much as his other skills. Just a little boost. Yeah, ask about the Moon-Sap Vial. That's the relic we came here to look for. Perhaps he hid it? More than likely, the slavers have it, I would guess. Alandoraz keeps the sword low, out of the lantern line, and speaks in the orc trade tongue he learned tracking war parties. That's reasonable. He's a very high intellect, so it would make sense for him to at least speak some orc. The Moon-Sap Vial. You carried it out of Eldengloom. Where is it? The name lands like a blow. Gorgash goes very still. Not the stillness of ignorance, the stillness of a man hearing his own death sentence read in a language he'd hoped no one down here spoke. A muscle works in the heavy jaw. His eyes flick to the inner gate again. Longer this time. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's in there. The gray ones took it. The day the nets came down. They strip everything that shines. He lifts his manacled wrists an inch. A small, bitter gesture at the chains, at the quarry, and all of it. Yeah, I mean, Alandoraz is cool and all, but I think breaking in there is kind of a suicide mission unless we really can get a good plan together here. It's behind that gate. I know where they keep what they take. You don't. He lets that sit, then quieter, the words coming slow and deliberate, like a man laying his last coin on a table. Break the chains, I show you. That is the trade. Okay. Alandoraz watches the orc's face the way he watched the quarry. For what repeats, for what's held back. The fear is real, the bitterness is real, and the claim rings true. He isn't inventing the vial's location, he's withholding it. He knows exactly where behind that gate it sits, and he's gripping that knowledge like the last weapon he owns. Which it is. Somewhere behind them, up on the second tier, the goblin crew's pace has evened out. The young overseer should be jogging back by now. Any moment, someone at the gate will notice the escort is missing from the rail. Gorgash reads the same clock. He shifts his grip on the cart pole, ready to start hauling again the instant it's needed. The reflex of a slave who has survived a year by never looking idle. Decide fast, elf. Yep, he's right. Yeah, take the trade, break his chains. Yep. I mean, not necessarily going to immediately break the chains, but that is the trade. You know. If I break his chains, we don't have a way in. He will look suspicious. Without them. Or he needs to keep the chains for now, so we can use his status as a slave for me to find a way in before anyone notices the missing Duergar. When I have the vial, I'll free Gorgash. As long as he doesn't alert them to my presence. The chains stay. You're worth nothing to me, free, and everything is a slave hauling his cart. You get me in, you keep your mouth shut. When the vial is in my hand, I break them, not before. Gorgash's jaw tightens. For one long second, the old warcaller looks out through the slave's eyes, measuring the elf the way he once measured battle lines. Then something in him settles. Not trust. Arithmetic. Yeah, I guess he's a smart orc. Swear it. On your forest. He waits for the words. Only when he has them does he jerk his chin at the cart. Yeah, he knows I'm not going to break my word if I say I'm going to let him go. Under the slag. The dead one always stopped at the goblin tier. The gate crew mocks him for it. They won't ask twice. What does he mean by that? The plan is ugly and simple. The cart is half full of bad ore and broken rock. A body could fold itself into the front end under a layer of slag. If that body is lean, patient, and willing to be still while 4 armed Durgars stand within spear reach, yeah, Gorgash could just be like, alright, here you go, I caught a wood elf, push me on in there in a cart. But then he remains a slave down here. Gorgash hauls it through the gate as he has 100 times. If the guards ask after the missing escort, he grunts the truth everyone already believes. The young one lagged behind to bully goblins. Yeah. Beyond the gate, by his telling, a tally post where loads are counted. Then the slag heap, and above it the campmaster's hall, where everything taken from every slave is kept beyond an iron door. Up on the second tier, faint but distinct, a dwarvish voice calls a name once, then again, with an edge to it. He's calling for that younger Durgar. I'm gonna have to go up there quick. Yep. Swear the oath and climb under the slag. Yeah. I think that given his skills, I think that he's not too concerned about whether or not he can get away if he gets caught. I think he can get away pretty easy. So we're going to make sure Gorgash understands what happens if he rats us out. And we're going in. We're going in to find the relic. Of course, it's important to report back the discovery of this place, but I want to finish the original mission too. Alandoraz gives him the words, quiet, formal, and elvish first. On Eldengloom and the roots beneath it, the vial in my hand and your chains are broken, my word. Then, before the orc can answer, he draws a single arrow from the concealed quiver and holds it up between them. The head glistens faintly, not with oil. And if one wrong word leaves your mouth at the gate, this is what finds you. Not the Duergar, me. Gorgash looks at the arrow, then at the elf. Something that is almost a smile pulls at the broken tusk. Good, I only trust a knife I can see. The elf folds himself. Oh, who failed something? Gorgash convinces the gate guard. Oh no. Looks like Gorgash failed a bluff roll. I'm still hidden though. The elf folds himself into the front of the cart, knees to chest, and the orc rakes slag over him with both hands. Fast, rough, no ceremony. The stone is sharp and stinks of sulfur, and the strange ore's faint hum crawls against his skin. Then the cart lurches, and the world becomes rock noise and darkness and the slow rhythm of Gorgash's chained stride. Above, on the... 1 second. Then the cart lurches, and the world becomes rock noise and darkness and the slow rhythm of Gorgash's chain strike. Above on the second tier, the Duergar's voice calls the dead overseer's name a third time. Other voices answer it now. The cart stops, boots on stone, 2 pairs close. A Duergar's voice, flat and unhurried, asks a question. Gorgash answers in his slave's mumble. The young one stopped at the goblin tier, and on any other night that would have earned a snort and a wave through. Not tonight. Tonight the overseer's name is being shouted across the second tier, and the gate guard has heard every call. I guess he says something in Duergar language. The voice moves closer. Through a finger-width gap in the slag, Alandoraz can see a sliver of gray face. An older Duergar. Iron-braided beard, eyes like a ledger. The guard wraps the cart's rim with a gauntleted knuckle, twice, thinking. Sharp stone presses into the elf's cheek. The ore hums against his ribs. He does not breathe. The knuckle stops. Der Karen wartet, du wartest, niemand rührte sich, bis Brannock gefunden ist. I guess that's supposed to be Duragar. I wonder if the AI is making that up. Or if it has something to draw on for Duragar language. It's using some rare dialect of Tolkien's Dwarvish, maybe. Who knows? The guard turns and barks an order up the tiers. 2 overseers detach from their patrol loops and start toward the goblin tier, toward the scaffold shadows, toward the slag heap where a body is cooling. Okay. Well, we better get to this relic and get it and get out of here. Gorgash stands motionless in the traces, hands on the pole, 20 feet from the open gate. He doesn't look down at the cart, but his knuckles have gone pale again. The gate is open, the searchers are perhaps 200 yards from the body, and the cart is not moving. Gorgash needs to keep moving for as long as possible. If I can get the relic in my hands, I can get out of here. Gorgash over here failing rolls tonight. Gorgash leans into the pole and shuffles forward the slow, stupid plod of an ox that heard nothing. It doesn't work. The pole arm's butt takes him across the shoulders and drives him to one knee. The cart jolts to a stop, slag shifting an inch from Alandoraz's back. Through the gap, he watches the old guard, Dwarric. That's generating. Okay, that's a good picture of a Duergar. Dwarric, the other skull. Step around into view, and there is nothing bored in that ledger face now. A year of hold orders, and this slave has never once moved through one. Slaves that stupid die in the first month. Arithmetic is written plainly in the Duergar's face. Okay, I guess I can understand what he's saying this time. Your escort vanishes and suddenly you can't hear. On the same night, he straightens, doesn't raise his voice, he never needs to. Okay, tip the cart. Here we go. Tip the cart, he said. One of the gate guards props his polearm against the wall and walks over, gauntlets closing on the cart's rim. The wood creaks. Slag trickles past Alandoraz's ear. Gorgash is still on one knee, head down, but his chained hands have slid along the cart pole to the iron coupling pin that holds it to the axle, waiting for a word or a war. 2 heartbeats before the world tips over. Yeah. Alright, I guess we're going into a fight here. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, I could try. I could try to roll out the far side as it tips here, using the dust as cover. I do have an incredible hide and a cloak of elven kind, so try to use the dust of the spilling cart as cover against my cloak, attempting to evade their sight as I make my way toward the location of the relic, if possible. I will help Gorgash on my way out. If not, so be it. Looks like I highly succeeded on my stealth attempts here. I want to wait until it loads the picture. Tip it. The cart goes over in an avalanche of slag and ore dust. The dust blooms, a gray amber cloud that swallows the gate, the guards, the lantern light, and in the heart of it, something that was already moving before the cart finished falling rolls out the far side, comes up inside the gray, and is gone. The cloak of elven kind drinks the dust light. For 3 seconds, Alandoraz is nothing but one more swirl of grit. Through the open gate, left along the inner wall, down into the black beneath the tally post scaffolding. Behind him, coughing, cursing in Dwarvish. Then the sound of well, you told him to tip it. That's funny, he tipped it right in his face. Then the sound of gauntlets raking through spilled slag and finding nothing but rock. Through the scaffold beams, he can see back to the gate. Dwarric stands over the spilled load, unhurried, wrong-footed, and refusing to show it. His colorless eyes pass across the slag, the wheels, the empty cart bed, then to Gorgash. Hold him. Chain him to the wall. Nobody touches him until I know what tonight is, he says in Dwarvish. 2 guards wrench the orc up by the arms and drag him to an iron ring set in the gate wall. Gorgash doesn't resist. As they turn him for half a breath, his yellow eyes sweep the darkness under the tally post, not searching, not signaling, just marking. You're in. I held my end. Yeah. You just keep your mouth shut. I'll get you out if I can. I'll try if I can. I told him I would, but, you know, things are getting hairy in here. It might not be possible. I could get us both killed by trying to save him at this point, but we'll see what happens. The sanctum spreads out before Alandoraz from his new shadow, the torchlit tally yard with its great iron weighing scales, a slag heap steaming faintly, and above it all, cut into the cavern wall itself, the campmaster's hall, a squat fortress in miniature, its iron-banded door flanked by 2 caged lanterns and 1 guard leaning on a polearm. Arrow slits glow dull orange. Somewhere behind that door, a year's worth of everything taken from every slave in this pit. From the outer quarry, muffled by the gate, a horn note sounds. Low, flat, twice. They found Brannock. They found him already, but I'm inside. Yep, move on the hall quick. That's the plan. Use the confusion to our advantage. Moving straight on the hall. You know, Alandoraz was sent to find the relic. I don't care where the relic is. We're going in. I don't care if it's in a dragon's horde. We're going to get this relic and bring it back. And along with whatever intel happens to come with it. That's the way Alandoraz is completing this mission. I mean, he's in the special ops unit for a reason. The horn's second call is still dying when the iron-banded door swings open and torchlight spills into the yard. The campmaster. This guy looks hard. I like the way the gold looks against his gray. The campmaster comes out like weather. Thick-set, fur-mantled, forked beard bound in iron rings, already snapping orders before his boots hit the yardstones. 2 retinue guards fall in behind him. He jabs a finger at the door guard as he passes. With me, all of you. Nobody kills one of mine in my pit. The door guard grabs his polearm and jogs after them toward the gate. The last man out hauls the heavy door shut behind him, one-handed, hurrying. That's okay, there was a drainage pipe over there. And it doesn't seat. A finger's width of torchlight stays standing along the jamb. Alandoraz is already moving. He crosses the tally yard as a ripple in the torch shadow. Flat along the weighing scales, past the steaming slag heap, and slides through the gap in the door like smoke drawn up a flue. He eases it back to its finger width behind him. Inside, heat, lamp oil, and ink. An antechamber cut from raw stone. A long ledger desk buried in tally slates, racks of confiscated tools on the walls, and at the far end a short corridor ending in a second door, iron this time, squat, riveted, and fitted with a lock the size of a fist. At the ledger desk, back to the entrance, a narrow-shouldered Duergar clerk sits hunched over his slates, quill scratching, a lamp at his elbow. He didn't turn when the door breathed. His world is columns and sums. The shouting outside is someone else's problem. Between Alandoraz and the strong room door, 40 feet of lamplit stone and one clerk who only has to turn around. Yep, taking out the clerk. We're sneak attacking the clerk. Duergar are very evil. They keep goblins and orcs as slaves. The quill is still scratching when Alandoraz crosses the last of the 40 feet. The clerk's world is a lamp, a slate, and a column of sums, and it ends there. One hand closes over the mouth. The blade finds the gap beneath the ear. The quill drops. A single line of ink trails off the slate's edge. He lowers the body into its own chair and arranges it hunched over the desk, a clerk asleep at his sums for anyone glancing through the door. From the belt he takes a ring of small bronze keys. A fast test tells him they fit the desk drawers and the tool racks, not the fist-sized lock down the corridor. Nothing here opens that door but skill. But the topmost slate on the desk stops him. It's an inventory tally, the confiscation ledger. In cramped dwarvish runes he can read just well enough. Shelf 3, item 214, 1 vial, silver, elf make, contents unknown, campmaster's hold, not for the buyer. Not for the buyer. So the Duergar are selling this ore to someone. And whoever it is, the campmaster keeps the vial off of that manifest, kept for himself. Behind him, the antechamber door still stands its finger width ajar. Outside, muffled through stone, the sanctum has filled with voices. The campmaster's bark, boots on yardstones. The horns echo still rolling around the great cavern. Somewhere out there, Gorgash hangs chained to the gate wall with his answers being demanded of him. He could be telling them about me right now. Down the short corridor, the strong room door waits. Black iron riveted and a lock the size of his fist. Shelf 3 is on the other side of it. Pick the strong room lock. Bar the antechamber door first. Pocket the confiscation ledger. Yeah. Pocket the ledger. Pick the lock on the door. They're out there trying to figure out what happened. I don't think they're coming near this place right now. I think I have time. Oh no, I failed on my lockpick. I rolled a 2. At least it's not a critical failure. Second time. Oh, I rolled a critical success the second time. But I cost myself a little time. The ledger slates go into his pack, wrapped in the clerk's own blotting cloth, so they won't clack together. Proof of the quarry, its scale, and a buyer somewhere below who takes shipments of humming ore. Eldengloom's wardens will lose sleep over that line for years. Yeah, no kidding. Then the lock. The first attempt goes badly. The picks skid on wards heavier than any surface lock, and for a cold moment he thinks the mechanism has jammed. He breathes, wipes his palms, starts again, slower, the way his mentor taught him, listen with your fingers. The last ward gives, and the bolt draws back like a sigh. The strong room breathes out a year of dust and cold iron. Shelves line 3 walls, floor to ceiling. Orc war axes tagged with slate chits, goblin fetishes, a bugbear's silver torque, sacks of coin, a chest of raw amber ore that hums against his teeth. The plunder of every creature in that pit, cataloged like grain. Shelf 3 is at eye level. Item 214 sits between a jade idol and a dented helm. Vial of moon pale silver, no longer than a finger. Stoppered with wax gone amber dark. Even under a year of dust, it holds a faint sheen, like moonlight remembered through leaves. He has heard it described in ceremonies his whole life. It is smaller than the stories. They always are. His hand closes around it. It's warm. Outside, muffled through iron and stone, the campmaster's voice rises over the yard, and beneath it, a new sound, the slow rhythmic crack of a lash and a crowd being made to watch. They've started on Gorgash. Oh man. They're out there whipping Gorgash. Yep. Now that I have the vial, I need to save Gorgash. I'm no friend of orcs. But neither does Alandoraz condone slavery. And he is being punished because of the Ranger's actions. So he feels like he has little choice but to keep his oath to the orc slave. Orc warcaller. That's what he really is. Perhaps I can find a way to draw enough attention away from him that we can escape together through the drainage tunnel I saw earlier. I love being able to look and see all the math and stuff. Another critical roll on picking his locks. Cool. He works fast and cold. The clerk's lamp emptied over the ledger desk and the tool racks. A second lamp from the corridor dashed against the door timbers. He leaves the strong room untouched. That humming ore is a fire he wants no part of, and drops the burning wick on his way out through the finger-width gap. Yeah, he's not Alandoraz, even though he's got those two levels of rogue. He's not the kind of rogue that is about to raid this little vault here. He's here for what he's here for. He doesn't even care about money. He's a wood elf. Who cares? What's he gonna do? Like, eat it? Eldengloom supplies him with whatever he needs because of the skills that he has. Coin is like some kind of foolish human endeavor in his eyes. By the time he's flat against the tally yard's shadow line, orange line is already crawling up behind the arrow slits. What? Okay, so I lit a fire. Made some kind of explosion happen, I guess. It didn't really describe that. Fever, I'm Saul. What does that mean? The yard convulses, guards sprint for the hall, water barrels, sand buckets. Osric's roar, cutting through everything as a year of records and a room full of his horde start to cook. Okay, I set his vault on fire. Yeah, that's a better use of all that stuff in there. Might as well just go up in flames. Even Dwarwick turns from his prisoner, torn for one fatal moment between the wall on the flame and the flames. That moment is enough. Alandoraz flows along the gate wall. Gorgash hangs from the iron ring by his wrist chains. Back opened in four raw stripes. So he's got big 4 whiplashes on his back. Oh, poor Gorgash. He's had a rough year. But hey, man, this is what you get for coming against Eldengloom. You guys should have, found a way to be civilized or something. Breathing in slow furnace drags, his yellow eyes find the elf and go wide, genuinely, completely wide, as the picks slide into the manacle lock. Hey, I gave you my word, man. I guess that means you're my companion now. I have no idea if we're going to take it in that direction or not. The orc comes off the wall like a felled tree catching itself. No words. Alandoraz jerks his chin at the lowest tier and they go down the slag slope, through the smoke drifting off the hall, 2 shadows among 100 running shadows, no one looking for anything but water. The drainage channel mouth is where he marked it, a black cut in the rock, thigh deep in cold runoff, breathing the smell of wet stone and depth. Wide enough for an elf, barely enough for an orc. Behind and above them, the fire paints the cavern ceiling amber, and Osric's voice rises over the quarry in a register that promises the lash for 100 backs. You came back. Elves and their oaths. Yeah. There's blood in his grin and something underneath it. It hasn't been there in a year. Yeah, well. Wood elves have been surprising themselves lately with the alliances that they've been making, considering that they're Duergar now beneath the forest. Orcs don't seem like such a bad ally. At least they're from the surface. Make sure Gorgash can move freely of his manacles. I have the boots of swiftness. I can take a little time to clear a path, aiding his speed as we make our escape. The ankle chains come off clean. The left wrist cuff comes off clean. The right one fights him. A year of rust and rock dust fused in the wards. And then the pick snaps off inside the lock. No time for despair. Gorgash looks at the dangling chain, then wraps it 3 times around his forearm and clamps it under his fist. There you go. Improvised weapon. An old raider's trick. Iron silenced against muscle. Good enough. Go. They go into the black water. The channel is a miser's passage. Chest-deep pools, throats of stone they take sideways, ledges slick as fish skin. I can imagine that. But this is what Alandoraz was made for. You're right, it truly is what he was made for. He's got like +8 knowledge dungeoneering. He reads the water-cut rock like a trail, calling, footing back over his shoulder in a low voice. Exactly, yeah. Picking the branches where the air moves, the orc follows on, raw-lashed shoulders, and never once complains. Ooh, I bet that slimy channel against his whiplashes probably burns. He's an orc, he likes it. Matching the pace with a soldier's economy of pain. Far behind them, muffled, distorted, swallowed by rock, 3 horn notes sound. Then, faintly, torchlight glimmers at the channel mouth, wavering, searching. Already too late. The light does not follow. Duergar know better than to chase water into rock. It cut itself. An hour, maybe more, the passage climbing slowly, the quarry's amber glow long gone. They stop at last in a dry gallery where the runoff drops away through a crack, both breathing hard, dripping alive. Okay. Gorgash sinks against the wall. In the darkness, his eyes find the elf, and for a while he says nothing at all. Then, quietly, a year in that pit, and the one who breaks the chains is an elf. He turns his head and spits, but there's no venom in it, only bewilderment. The vial rides warm against Alandoraz's chest. The ledger sits heavy in his pack. Above them, somewhere through miles of unmapped stone, Eldengloom is sleeping. Yeah. We need to take some time to set up a place to rest. No fire. No smoke will travel too far down here unless we can find a chute that goes to the surface. But only then. Once we find a place that we can reasonably rest or question him regarding the presence of the Duergar. How long have they been here? Who are they selling the ore to, etc. He finds the place an hour further on, a lower shelf cave above the passage floor, reachable only by a climb the Duergar's armored bulk would hate, with 2 ways out and dry sand underfoot. That sounds like a good spot. Old flood sand, undisturbed for years, no cracks, no droppings, no drafts, carrying strange smells, no fire. He wedges his cloak across the entrance instead, and the dark does the rest. He cleans the last stripes with water and moss salve from his kit, working in silence. Gorgash endures it the way he endures everything, staring at the wall. But when it's done, and hard bread has been split between them, the orc talks, low, flat, in the trade tongue. A year of counting things, finally finding somewhere to go. The Duergar were there first. The workings were already deep when the nets took him. A year ago, old tears, worn rails, older slaves. The few who'd survived that long said the gray ones had been cutting for 2 years before that. 3 years then. The quarry predates the war. The slaves came cheap after the war. Some of the orcs in that pit didn't wander in like he did. They were bought. Sold in lots, marched up in coffles from below. Already branded. My people bought like mules. There's going to be some spoilers coming soon, it looks like, for the campaign. So if you're wanting to play the campaign yourself, register below and go to the FreedomRPG Discord and check out the shared worlds. And there's going to be some spoilers coming soon about what the real threat really is. His jaw works. He never saw who sold them. Oh, okay, he never saw who sold them. Alright. But the coffles came up to the quarry from deeper. The ore goes down, not to the surface. Down through a sealed shaft behind the overseer's tier. On a schedule the slaves call the tithe. Twice in his year, the buyers came in person to inspect the seams. He saw them once across the width of the quarry, torchlight on them for perhaps 10 heartbeats. He stops there. Something moves behind his eyes. The decision Alandoraz watched him make at the gate being made again. Elves, dark ones, skin like coal, hair like bone. The gray ones bowed to them. Duergar bowed at nothing. Alright, the cat's out of the bag. The words sit in the caves like cold water. Drow. Buying, humming ore in bulk. 3 years running from a quarry, a long walk beneath Eldengloom's roots. And selling orc slaves up from somewhere deeper still. Your forest is worried about orcs. Huh. It isn't a joke. Not really. He pulls the cloak edge over his shoulders and is asleep between one breath and the next. The chained arm curled under his head. Well, it says sleep, but Alandoraz doesn't need to sleep. All he needs is his 4-hour elven meditation to make it through. I'm sure the DM will remember that when I remind him. Study the vial and ledger by touch. I wait until the orc is completely asleep. I leave him another meal to wake up to. Take a brief meditation for rest and head off before he wakes. making sure that he is well hidden above. I'm just going to leave him behind while he's asleep. I told him I'd rescue him. You know, the dead end's there. He's still who he is. My mission wasn't to kill him or anything like that. So, it is what it is. He waits until the orc's breathing drops into the deep, tidal rhythm of true sleep, the kind a body only allows itself when it has decided against all evidence that it is safe. Then he moves without sound. Half his remaining bread and dried meat laid on a flat stone where waking eyes will find it. A moment's assessment of the shelf cave, the cloak-screened entrance, the escape crack at the back, the climb no armored Duergar would attempt, as well hidden as anything gets down here. The last thing he sees before slipping out is the chained arm curled under the gray-green head, and the old war paint scars rising and falling. The forest's enemies are below it now. Whatever else the orc is, he wasn't wrong about that. Alandoraz folds himself into meditation in the passage mouth for a few hours, the elven trance that is not sleep, half his mind drifting through moonlit memory, while the other half counts drips of water and listens for boots. None come. Then he runs. The back trail unspools beneath him like a memory of itself. Every marker he left, every turn he counted, clean and undisturbed. No Duergar sign, no pursuit reached this far. The drainage passage spat them out well wide of the quarry's hunting grounds, and the gray ones are busy tonight with fires and counts and campmaster's rage. He makes better time than he dares hope, the boots of swiftness eating the miles of stone. Hours later, the air begins to change, cooler, older, faintly threaded with something that might, many climbs from now, become the smell of roots and rain. And then his own tunnel, the dead-end collapse, the iron bracket. Oh, those are the two orcs I left behind. Were they really that far away? I didn't realize they were so far away. The two orcs are still there, alive, barely comfortable, slumped against the rock in their bindings, 10 hours of darkness and dripping water behind them. The small one with the splinted wrist jerks upright at the sound of him. The bigger one just raises his head slowly, resignation and exhaustion in equal measure. They stink of fear, gone stale. They had clearly decided no one was coming back and had not decided whether that was mercy or a death sentence. The small one's eyes dropped to the elf's chest, where a faint moon pale gleam rise beneath the leathers and then to the floor, very fast. These two are coming back with me as my prisoners. Don't owe any kind of debt to these orcs. These are just some orcs. Nice. We're back in Eldengloom. I guess we're in Eldengloom for the first time in the campaign, though. Looks like we're coming out at sunrise here, too. He cuts the rope from the bracket, but not from their wrists, and tells them how it will be in the orc trade tongue. They walk ahead, they climb where he says, and the forest above decides what they are. The big one, Ruck, the small one calls him, takes it with a slow nod, the arithmetic of a survivor. The small one, Snag, only asks one question, voice cracking. Not back down. Yes, not the pit. Yeah, they don't want to go down there. They're happy to come back to the surface. It sounds like not the pit. After that, Snag climbs like the mountain is on fire. The ascent takes the rest of the day. Up through the burrow tunnels, past the marks of elven wardens' sealing work. Chalk sigils and root woven barricades on every side passage. The air warms and greens, and at dusk, okay, we're coming out at dusk, the cave mouth. A slot of amber light between root fingers, moss-buried warding stones, and beyond it, Eldengloom. The forest hits him like a wave after the deep dark. Loam and rain and sap Fireflies threading the ferns, the canopy burning rose gold with the last of the sun. Both orcs stop dead at the threshold, blinking, flinching from the sheer size of the light. Snag makes a small sound. It has been a year since either saw sky. A bird call sounds from the canopy to the left. It is answered from the right. Neither is a bird. Neither is a bird. Okay. Got some elves up in the trees. Sounds like the wardens knew he was coming before his boot crossed the stones. Of course they did. It's their forest. Shapes resolve out of the green shadow. 3 elven sentries. Bows strung but not drawn. Taking in the mud-caked ranger. The moon pale gleam at his chest. And 2 branded, bound orcs standing in Eldengloom for the first time since the war. The lead sentry's eyes are very wide, very carefully saying nothing at all. Alandoraz. Thala Visari, I Norvin. I guess he's speaking Elven, huh? I don't know what he's saying. It's not giving me subtitles in that mode. Oh well. It's got to be asking me what's up with these guys. These guys don't have clearance. Take these 2 prisoners. The details of my mission are classified. But send word ahead of my success. And insist that I have news that is of the utmost importance. Alright, so we're making it to the circle here. In the, looks like we're in the deeper part of Eldengloom where the wood elves actually live, not at the trading post. The lead sentry doesn't argue. Whatever is written on the ranger's face or writing beneath his leathers closes the question before it opens. A hand sign, and one of the three is simply gone. Canopy word. Running the branch roads faster than any ground path allows. The other two take charge of Ruck and Snag. With the wary correctness of soldiers handling the first orc prisoners Eldengloom has seen since the war's end. Sorry about the static. Snag. There we go. Snag goes meekly. Ruck looks back once at Alandoraz, an unreadable, weighing look, before the green swallows them. The walk to the domain takes the evening. The forest at night is a homecoming in itself. The paths that curl by old logic, the hidden dwellings, breathing wood smoke overhead, the lantern moths kindling one by one in their glass bells. Word has clearly run ahead of him. Faces appear at bow rails and burrow doors as he passes, and no one calls out, which in Eldengloom is its own kind of shouting. The circle is convened by the time he reaches the heart grove. Moonlight silvers the moss floor. The living seats hold 5 figures, elders of the warden lines and root lines both, roused past midnight, and not one of them showing it. He knows the one in the center seat well enough, the one who pressed a description of an orc warcaller into his hands a week ago and told him where the trail began. The water basin at the grove's center lies perfectly still. 5 pairs of ancient eyes rest on the mud-caked ranger. The shape beneath his leathers, and the pack strap worn shiny where a ledger's weight has written it. No one speaks first. That honor, that weight, is his. Okay. First, I complete my mission without speaking. I hand over the vial. And allow enough time to pass for him to understand what I have given him. Before he is able to respond, I pull out the ledger. Open it to the page that the vial was written on. Turn it around and underline it with my finger, emphasizing the buyer. Then I wait for the questions. He crosses the silver moss without a word, and the grove lets his silence stand. From beneath his leathers, he draws the Moon-Sap Vial and sets it in Elder Newervain's open hands. The old elf goes still in a way that has nothing to do with patience. His thumb moves once across the silver, finding the warmth in it, the living warmth, and something crosses the birch bark face that Alandoraz has never seen there, and suspects no one has for a century. Around the ring of living seats, breath is drawn and held. One of the elders begins, very softly, the first words of a blessing. It dies unfinished, because the ranger is already moving again. The pack swung down, slates drawn out, one slab turned outward to the moonlight and held up before the circle like an accusation. His finger comes down beneath a single line of deep-cut dwarvish runes and stops there. Shelf 3, item 214, 1 vial, silver, elf make, contents unknown. Campmaster's hold, not for the buyer. The stillness changes temperature. Newervain's silver-green eyes go from the vial in his hands to the runes, to the word the finger underscores, and Alandoraz watches a mind older than the settlement work through it in the space of 3 heartbeats. Duergar tally work, an inventory beneath us, a buyer. The elder to his left, a lore master with ink-stained cuffs, leans in and reads the runes twice. Her face empties. When Newervain finally speaks, his voice is level as still water, and pitched so it does not carry past the ring of seats. One question, Warden. Before all the others in this grove tonight, his eyes lift from the slate. Who is the buyer? Say it plainly. Dark elves. Give the full chain of evidence first. Answer with a question. Clear the grove. I don't speak. The words are too dangerous to be spoken aloud. I flip to the back of the ledger and request a pen from the lore master. And I spell it out with a single word. I spell out the buyer with a single word. Where only the two of them can read it. They decide who hears it, not the shadows. He answers the question by not answering it. A hand extended toward the lore master, a small, courteous gesture at her ink-stained cuffs. She hesitates only a moment before producing a fine bone pen and a stoppered vial of oak gall ink. Alandoraz turns the ledger to its last slate, where the tally runes give way to blank stone. He shields the surface with his own body, angles it from the moonlight, and writes one word in the old elvish script, small, precise, unmistakable. Then he turns it so exactly 2 pairs of eyes can read it, and holds it there. Dark kin. The lore master reads it and does not move, not a flinch, not a breath. The perfect stillness of someone who has just been handed something too heavy to react to safely. Neruvain reads it for a long moment. Then his thumb passes over the wet ink, once, deliberately, and the word is a smear, and then it is nothing. The circle thanks the warden for the relic's return, he says at full voice, perfectly formal, and it takes Alandoraz a heartbeat to understand. This is for the shadows. Yeah, I mean, he already understands. That's why he wrote it down like that, instead of just blurting out to anyone who's potentially hiding around. I mean, there could be dark elves all around us for all we know already. Just waiting to see if we know that they're here. The remainder of his report concerns warden matters. The grove is closed. It empties with elven quietness. Attendants, the younger elders' aides, even the lantern bearers, until 5 elders, 1 lore master, and 1 mud-caked ranger stand around a basin of still water. Only then does the old elf lean forward, and the formality drains out of him like water out of cupped hands. What's left underneath looks tired and old and very sharp. In the spring, the sappers found 3 of 4 seals broken. From the inside, refitted with care. We called it settling stone. He sets the vial down on the moss before him gently, as if it has become the smaller thing in the grove. Now, from the first footprint to the cave mouth, everything, and warden, the 2 orcs you brought up, before anyone else touches them, I'll know what they know. Yeah, give the full report. Give the full report. Spare nothing. I'm not afraid to tell him that I had the little truce with the orc there for a little bit. It is what it is. I swore by the Eldengloom. You know, what do you want me to do? Nah, they're gonna understand. He gives it all, standing on the silver moss with the basin's still water at his back in the flat, precise cadence of a warden's debrief. The border skirmish and the 2-day trail, the fight at the collapse and the 2 who yielded, the ledge above the quarry, the hours of counting, Brannock, killed and hidden. The bargain struck on the cart track, chains kept, freedom sworn on Eldengloom itself, a venomed arrow shown as surety, the slag, the gate, the tipped cart, the fire he set in the campmaster's hall, the clerk, the lock, the vial, warm in a cold room full of catalogued grief, the lash marks he cut Gorgash down from, and the drainage channel, and the shelf cave where he tended an orc's wounds with elven salve, and left him sleeping beside a mill, free, somewhere under their feet. He spares himself nothing, including the arithmetic, 2 dead Duergar, a burned hall, and a warcaller of the horde, walking loose in the deep dark, one who knows Alandoraz's face and knows the force in him. When he finishes, the grove is quiet enough to hear the basin's water not moving. An elder of the war line breaks it, an old female with a bowman's shoulders and frost in her voice. Nuravane lets the silence sit a moment longer, then mildly, "Yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking. If he had sworn our name falsely and broken it, sister, I would be asking for his cloak tonight. He did neither. Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to bring back the vial. And so, what? It's not like the orcs didn't already know we were here. We're the ones who drove them down there." So, he rises, and age drops off him the way it does, off old trees and wind. Suddenly you see the size of the thing. Here the shape of the night. The sapper's work doubles at dawn. Every seal checked for the inside work, and this time we will call it what it is. The prisoners I question at first light, alone. The vial goes home to the grove heart. His eyes come around the ring and stop before the last thing, which leaves the humans, our allies of 1 year, whose settlement sits over the same dark. The dark kin were named to 5 elders and 1 warden tonight, and every soul who learns that name doubles the chance it travels. So, circle. Do we tell them? The Warline Elder's jaw is already set against it. The Lore Master is already nodding. 2 elders look at each other and say nothing. Yeah, I think they should. I think they should warn the humans about the Dark Elves, because they're dangerous. They should have a chance to flee the area. Nuravane looks at the ranger who has been under the roots and seen it with his own eyes. You've earned a voice in this, Warden. Use it. I mean, dispatch me to bring the message to their leadership. Though let me think about how I word this. If the Dark Elves come here, the circle can call on ancient protection from the Eldengloom. Humans do not have that luxury. Their industry will not save them from the Dark Kin. If they wish to flee their northern expansion, they should have the opportunity. Then again, we don't know. That the Dark Elves want anything to do with the surface. We sent them free slaves. They mine the amber ore. Either send me to investigate them further or to the humans. As a warning. I think I should go if you decide to tell them, so that the message spreads slower. Less mouths and ears involved. Your call. The Warline Elder starts to speak. Nerivane lifts 2 fingers off his knee, not a command, just a request for the length of 1 breath. And she gives it to him. Both, in order. He counts it out with the terrible calm of someone who has already lived the next season in his head. At dawn, you stand with me when I question the orcs. You are the only soul above ground who has seen the pit. Nothing they say slips past you that would slip past me. What we learn sharpens the message. Then you ride south, not to the waypost. The waypost is a market of mouths. To their settlement, to their leadership as my personal emissary. 1 messenger, 1 listener, nothing written. A stolen letter outlives a spoken word. You will tell them what you told us, and what you saw with your own eyes, and nothing an orc merely claimed will be dressed as more than it is. His gaze crosses to the Warline Elder, and something old passes between them, an argument that has been had before, about other secrets in other years. Sister, if the dark kin come and the humans learn we knew and said nothing, the alliance dies of it, and we may want their spears before the roots see spring. Silence is alone. The interest ruins. She holds his gaze a long moment. Then she looks away at the basin, which is agreement in her language. The deep investigation will come, but not tonight, and not alone, and not by the only warden who knows the way. Rest, Alandoraz. Eat. You look like something the mountain chewed. The circle rises. The lore master gathers the ledger slates like relics, and as the elders drift into the dark of the grove, Nerivane stops beside him, the vial cradled in both hands, and says quietly for him alone, "A week ago I sent you after a thief. You brought back a war's worth of warning, and kept the forest's name clean in an orc's ears. That is twice now the circle owes you more than it will ever say aloud." A pause. The old eyes glitter. "Dawn, Warden." Alright. That was a good first adventure. I actually really enjoyed that. So, again guys, if you haven't registered for FreedomRPG, check out the pinned comment. It's also in the description at the top. And you'll get bonus credits to try out any of the worlds there in the shared worlds of the FreedomRPG Discord. You can find this one there. It's called Shadows of Eldengloom. And you'll start at the beginning where we started tonight. Alright, thanks for